A man named Walter Boyd fed 9 people through a Kentucky winter off 1 acre, 1 milk cow, a dozen hens, and a hog in the back lot. And he did not set foot in a grocery store from the first frost to the spring thaw. In the winter of 1934, the county register from Perry County lists him as a laborer with no cash income that year. His children ate eggs before school, drank milk with supper, and cut into cured pork on Sundays. There was a wooden trough by the fence where he threw kitchen scraps to the birds, and the birds turned those scraps into eggs, and the eggs turned into a winter of breakfasts that never cost a dime. Today, most folks watching this could not put a week of dinners on the table if the store closed on a Monday. That is not a moral failing, friend. That is a skill that got quietly walked away from, one generation at a time. But here's the twist. Before we go on, there's something coming for this country, and the news won't say a word about it till it's already on your doorstep. It comes down to one number: 3 days. That's what the stores hold for you. Your grandfather's pantry held a winter, and the difference was never money. It was knowing. 904 pages of that knowing in one book. Water, fire, curing, canning, the plants that heal and the ones that kill. SilasMercer.shop. Links below. All right, back to it. The record now says Boyd's 1 acre fed his 9 better than a full-time paycheck feeds most families of 4 right now. And the animals he ran, most of them are still here, still working, still cheap, still yours, if you know their names. Whatever became of Boyd, I will get to at the end. I am Silas Mercer, 7th generation on this ridge. My people settled it in the 1790s and never left. Damn near everything I am about to count down, my grandfather Eli copied into a leather journal that is sitting open on this table right now. The same crops and stock and skills that fed 8 of them off this mountain through the Depression and made me swear the old ways would not die with me. Today, I am keeping my word to him and to you. 11 animals, 1 acre, a family fed. Now hear me before we start. Number 4, they did not outlaw. They just replaced the fat in your pantry with a can of hydrogenated shortening in 1911, and the hog that fed a whole winter walked out the barn door with it. Number 7, a land-grant university still says can feed a household of 4 on the milk and cream of 1 animal, but you will not find her in a store parking lot anymore. And number 2, the Livestock Conservancy has listed as threatened fewer than a few thousand breeding birds left in this country, and I am not getting to her until we are near the bottom of this list. None of these faded because they quit working, friend. They faded because somebody figured out how to sell you what your grandfather gave himself for free. That is not on you. They are good at their job. Before we go any further, tap subscribe. Not for me, because we are pulling the old self-reliance back onto ground like yours. And the next one is the one the feed store would rather you never relearned. Let us count down from 11. And the question is not what did we lose. The question is who is getting paid because we forgot, and how do you take it back and owe them nothing? Number 11. The first thing your great-grandmother had by the back door was not a purebred anything. She had a barnyard mixed flock, a brown hen, a white hen, whatever rooster wandered in from the neighbor's place. 6 or 8 birds pecking around a wooden trough by the fence, eating what the kitchen threw out. Eli called them yard chickens. He did not know their breeds. He knew their names. 10 of those hens, laying the honest 120 to 150 eggs a year, the United States Department of Agriculture reported for farm mixed flocks back in 1921, will hand you around 100 to 125 dozen eggs. At 2023 retail prices of $2.82 a dozen, you are looking at somewhere between $280 and $350 in eggs your family never bought. Off scraps, off yard weeds, off almost nothing. Then in 1948, the Extension Service told farmers to quit hatching their own barnyard mix and buy chicks of high-producing strains. Purina Mills was right there with a bag of feed to match. The commercial hatchery got a customer for life. Your grandmother got told her yard chickens were backward. North Carolina State Extension still says a small mixed backyard flock provides eggs, meat, and pest control for a household. Same conclusion 70 years late. They were right the whole time. 6 pullets, a 24 square foot coop, 1 nest box per 4 or 5 birds, water they can reach, a fence that keeps a raccoon out. That is it. Next one is the bird they specifically bred out because a hen that feeds herself was bad for business. Number 10, the Heritage Dual-Purpose Hen, the Rhode Island Red, the Barred Plymouth Rock, Standard of Perfection, American Poultry Association, 1904. Farm Security Administration photographers had them in every other picture they took across the plains in the 30s. Brown hens and white hens scratching by a wooden fence. United States Department of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin, 1822-1936. Put a good dual-purpose farm flock at 140 to 160 eggs per hen per year. A dozen hens gives you around 155 dozen eggs a year on the low end. In 1935, eggs ran 37 cents a dozen. The flock avoided about $57 in city grocery money at Depression prices. Today, at $2.82 a dozen, same flock. $437 of eggs you did not buy. Plus, when a hen stops laying, she is dinner. The old breeds put on real meat. Then Tyson happened. Founded 1935, went vertical through the 50s. Purdue signed integrated broiler contracts in the same decade. USDA Circular 915, 1952, is the smoking gun on paper. Specialized egg strains replacing general farm flocks. Translation, they bred a hen that lays more eggs on more of their bag of feed and cannot go broody and cannot forage and will not survive without them. A hen that fed herself off the yard was a hen the feed company could not sell to, so she quietly left the catalog. Oregon State Extension, 2013, confirms heritage dual-purpose breeds are hardy, good foragers, well suited to small farm flocks. Eli wrote it down in 1948. Reds and rocks feed themselves 9 months of 12. Only fools buy the whole bag. One breed, 2 purposes, never a bill. Next one the seed catalog cannot sell you at all because she is not seed. She is milk. First pattern break. Here is where this stops being a chicken video and starts being the reason the grocery store built a whole aisle. Because the next 4 animals, every single one of them, killed a bill somebody now sells you weekly. Number 9, the dairy goat, the white one, the gray and white one, the animal on the ridge across from Eli's when I was a boy, that fed 3 households up that hollow before anybody heard the word supermarket. United States Department of Agriculture, Farmers Bulletin, 920, 1918. Put a good milch goat at 2 to 3 quarts a day over a 9 to 10 month lactation. That is 165 to 225 gallons of milk a year from one animal. In 1935, Whole milk was 56 cents a gallon. One goat killed $100 of milk bill in Depression money. The Economic Research Service puts retail whole milk at $3.82 a gallon in 2023. Do the arithmetic. One goat now kills between $630 and $860 a year in milk your family does not buy. Off browse. Off brush the mower cannot reach. The goat did not lose to a law. She lost to A&P. Chain grocery expansion through the 1920s and 30s put cheap cow's milk in every corner store. And by 1953, the USDA yearbook was celebrating dairy cows as a commercial enterprise and mentioning the family goat about like a museum piece. Oklahoma State Extension fact sheet walks it right back. Dairy goats are efficient converters of forage, well suited to small acreages. What they were saying was, your grandmother was right. Here's the one part you do not skip. Raw milk carries pathogens. Home use on your own place is legal in most states. Home pasteurization is a pot of water and a thermometer, and Penn State Extension has the guide free. 2 does, a 12 by 12 shed, woven wire fence, a gallon a day, kids in the spring, and a milk bill that goes to zero. Now the next one, the one they used to bury in a hutch by the fence. Is the animal a family raised through a whole war on nothing but garden scraps? Number 8, the duck, specifically the khaki Campbell. United States Department of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin 841, 1917, put her at 200 to 250 eggs a year. Better than a lot of chickens, and she does it on wet ground the chicken hates. 10 of them, that is 166 to 208 dozen eggs. At $2.82 a dozen, north of $470 and up toward $585 in eggs a year, your kitchen never buys. She eats slugs. She eats the beetle grubs that chew your garden. She does not scratch a bed to shreds the way a hen will. Cornell Cooperative Extension has written for decades that ducks are hardy and well suited to small farms with a bit of water. A galvanized tub is enough. She disappeared for the same reason. Cal-Maine Foods incorporated in 1969 and consolidated the egg business into battery cages of white leghorns. The USDA Yearbook of Poultry 1959 had already told farmers to standardize on layer chickens. Duck eggs got called specialty. The word specialty is how the industry says we do not sell that anymore. 6 ducks, a small shelter, a shallow pool of water they can dip their heads in, predator-proof fence at night. Same as chickens, non-negotiable. Eli wrote it down in 1946. Duck eats what the hen won't, lays through the wet. 6 ducks, your slug problem gone, and breakfast the store did not touch. Next one is the meat animal a family raised straight through the war years. 3 pounds of dressed protein a week off kitchen greens. Second pattern break. And before we keep going, listen. First flock I ran alone, I was 19 years old, and a raccoon got in through a gap I should have seen and killed 11 birds in one night. Eli did not say a word, just handed me the wire. You are going to lose some. That is the job. Keep going. Number 7, and this is one of the ones I teased at the top. The family cow. Usually a Jersey, small breed, sweet-tempered. United States Department of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin 743 from 1916 is called just that, the family cow. It puts her at 3,000 to 6,000 pounds of milk a year. That is 350 to 700 gallons out of one animal. At the 1935 price of 56 cents a gallon, one cow avoided between $196 and $392 of milk in the depths of the Depression. At the 2023 retail average of $3.82, that same cow, same output, now kills between $1,337 and $2,674 of milk, cream, and butter your family does not buy from Kroger. Cream on your oatmeal, butter you churned yourself, milk in every glass from one animal. Then the 1940 USDA Yearbook of Agriculture on dairy cattle celebrated consolidation into big specialized dairies. Borden had been selling condensed milk since 1857. Dean Foods came in behind and swept the small operators up through the 70s. By 1980, most Americans had never seen a family cow. Not banned, just outbid on every corner. I will be straight with you. The cow is the hardest one on this list. On a real 1 acre, she is not living off your grass. You will buy hay. She wants milking twice a day, every day, no exceptions during her lactation. She is a big animal, and a mistake with her hurts. University of Missouri Extension Guide 3071 walks the whole thing through, and it is honest about the workload. But if you have space and stomach for the work, she is the biggest single bill killer on this list. 1 cow. Milk, cream, butter, cheese, a calf every year, and a manure pile that grows your garden for free. The old man kept her 14 years. He said the cow was the pension. Next one is smaller, cheaper, faster, and they used to raise her in the alley next to a Chicago apartment. Number 6, meat rabbits. New Zealand white, Californian. United States Department of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin 696, 1915, told the country how to raise them. The War Food Administration reprinted the message in 1943 and called them victory meat. 1 doe, 4 litters a year, 7 to 8 kits per litter, 90 to 128 pounds of dressed meat off one animal in 12 months. The feed conversion is close to 3 pounds of feed for 1 pound of gain. The National Research Council put those numbers on paper in 1977, and they still hold. At today's boneless beef price of around $6 a pound, if a family substitutes rabbit for a good share of its store meat, you are looking at $540 to $770 a year of meat that never touched a supermarket scale. She lost to industrial chicken. Tyson and Purdue put a whole chicken on every cell flyer by 1965, and the rabbit hutch quietly came down. No ban, no campaign, just cheaper birds in shrink wrap. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension 2008 still recommends her. Efficient converter of feed to meat, well suited to small acreages. The method is a wire hutch, 3 or 4 square feet per adult, in a shaded area on pelleted commercial rabbit feed with fresh greens from the garden. Never on solid floors uncleaned. Never in the direct sun. Humane end. I use the method the American Veterinary Medical Association lays out in their guidelines, and I do not do it in front of the children. 2 does and a buck. That is the whole starter kit. Next one is the animal that turned a whole winter's worth of kitchen leftovers into a smokehouse full of cured pork. Number 5, back to the hen, but a different one. The old dual-purpose meat hens, the Delaware, the Dominique, the Java. Not the same as the Reds and Rocks at number 10. These are the ones bred fatter, older breed still, meat birds that also laid you a decent 100 eggs a year on the side. Because a hen used to be Sunday dinner. When she was done laying at 3 years, she went in the pot. She fed you twice, every week for 3 years, then one last time. Nothing wasted. Then Tyson signed the first big integrated broiler contracts through the 1950s. USDA Circular 915, 1952, praised the strain crosses. The Cornish cross bird, ready to slaughter in 6 weeks, replaced her entirely. That bird cannot forage, cannot breed on its own, and if you do not slaughter it on time, it dies of its own weight. That is not a farm animal. That is a factory product with feathers. The Livestock Conservancy today lists the Delaware and Java as threatened, fewer than a few thousand breeding birds in the country. Oregon State Extension keeps pointing homesteaders back to them. 24 chicks in the spring. Half the pullets held back for laying. Half the cockerels grown out to 12 or 14 weeks, dressed at 4 to 5 pounds, put in the freezer or canned in jars. Eli did it in October every year I was a boy. The kitchen smelled like wood smoke and giblets from breakfast to dark. One breed, Sunday dinner and Monday breakfast. A meat bird that made the next generation of herself. Now this next one, this is the animal I teased at the top, the one Crisco walked out the door with in 1911. Third pattern break. This is the one they did not outlaw. They just replaced her fat in a can and told your grandmother the can was progress. And once your grandmother believed it, the animal that filled your winter smokehouse quietly walked off the small farm. Number 4, the family hog. Heritage type, Berkshire, large black, old-style Poland China. United States Department of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin 781, 1916 laid out the whole system. One pig, raised through the summer and fall on kitchen slop, garden waste, and a bit of grain. Put down as the weather turned cold. 250 pounds live weight. 140 to 175 pounds of dressed pork, plus lard. 20 to 30 pounds of pure white fat, rendered into a crock that cooked your food for a whole year. At 1935, pork prices of 20 cents a pound, that one hog killed about $30 a meat bill in Depression dollars. At today's retail pork, around $4 a pound, we are talking $560 to $700 of meat, plus the lard you no longer have to buy in any form. From one pig. From food you were about to throw out anyway. Then in 1911, Procter & Gamble put Crisco on the shelf. Hydrogenated vegetable shortening, sold as cleaner, whiter, more modern than the lard your grandmother rendered. The ad campaign ran for 50 years. By 1970, most American kitchens did not have a lard crock. Smithfield Foods, founded 1936, expanded through the 70s into the confinement hog operation you see today. The family hog was priced out of usefulness on both ends. Cheap grocery pork on one side, a can of shortening on the other. University of Missouri Extension 2011 still walks outdoor pig producers through pasture systems. The Livestock Conservancy has the large black listed as threatened. The old fat, chemists at half a dozen universities have quietly walked back the case against. One pig, strong fence, and I mean strong. 250 pounds of pork in the freezer, a crock of lard on the pantry shelf. Next one is the goat again, but this time she is doing 2 jobs. Number 3, the dual-purpose goat, the Nubian, the Boer cross, the brush goats of the 1940s South that USDA photographers caught around wooden fences, doing milk and meat and clearing overgrown fence lines all at once. A Nubian doe can hit 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of milk a day at peak. Oklahoma State Extension fact sheet puts the numbers on paper. Bred every year, she gives you kids in the spring, retain a doeling to replace her, grow the buck kids out to 60 pounds, and Langston University's Goat Research Center, the leading institution in the country on this, walks the whole small, diversified operation through step by step in their extension bulletins. 3 goats on rotational paddocks on 1 acre. Milk from spring to fall. Kids butchered at Thanksgiving. Brush cleared for free. Manure for the garden. This is the animal doing 3 of the 11 jobs by herself. She got left off the extension pamphlets in favor of specialized dairy cows and specialized beef cattle. Not banned, just uncatalogued. The industry does not sell a magazine ad for the animal that quietly does everything. Eli did not keep goats himself. My uncle did, up the hollow, and I learned them from him. He said the goat is the smallest animal that fills the biggest hole. Same rules as number 9, woven wire fence. Home pasteurization if you have small children. Humane handling. Hooves trimmed. Worming schedule kept. 3 does, 1 buck. Half your grocery bill quietly gone. Next one. She is the one I said at the top was almost extinct. The one the Livestock Conservancy is trying to keep alive right now. Number 2, and this is her. The Dominique, the Buckeye, the Java, the oldest chicken breeds in America. The Dominique goes back to before 1800, kept by settlers up and down the Appalachian chain. And every one of them the Livestock Conservancy has on the threatened or watch list right now. Fewer than a few thousand breeding birds each in a country of 330 million people. She is what a chicken used to be. She forages 60 to 70% of her own feed in summer. She goes broody, hatches her own chicks, raises them without a heat lamp, walks them out to the yard, and teaches them to feed themselves. She lays about 180 eggs a year. Her cockerels dress out 4 to 5 pounds. The old ways, all in one bird. Then the commercial hatchery decided you should buy chicks every spring, not hatch your own. USDA extension bulletins from 1948 forward pushed farmers off broody breeds toward strains bred for consistent production. Purina put a bag of chick starter next to the feed store counter. The Dominique nearly went extinct. She was down to a handful of flocks by the 1970s, and the Livestock Conservancy has been rebuilding her ever since. The land-grant universities have quietly caught up. Oregon State, North Carolina State, University of Kentucky Extension, all 3 now say heritage dual-purpose breeds are the right bird for the small farm. Every one of those recommendations 70 years after the industry buried her. She was in Eli's journal, 1953. Buy the Dominique. She will hatch you the next flock for free. She still will. 6 pullets, 1 good rooster. Never buy a chick again as long as you live. Now, number 1 is not another animal, because number 1 is what all 10 of these together add up to, and that is the answer to Walter Boyd. Number 1 is not a 12th animal, friend. Number 1 is what happens when the 11 above her stand on the same acre and do their jobs together. Number 1 is the self-fed acre, the homestead that owes no store. Because the hens turn your scraps into eggs. The ducks eat the slugs, so your garden grows the scraps. The goats and the cow eat the brush the mower cannot reach, and hand you the milk and the butter. The rabbits and the hog convert the garden overflow into meat. The heritage breeds hatch and breed the next generation of themselves. You do not buy chicks. You do not buy feeder pigs. You do not buy the bag. You do not buy the dozen eggs. You do not buy the gallon of milk. You do not buy the pound of pork. You do not buy the pound of butter. You do not buy the lard. Walter Boyd, back in 1934 in Perry County, Kentucky, the county register I mentioned at the top. He lived to be 89 years old, buried his wife on the same land. His grandchildren still own that acre. He was not poor, friend. He was fed, free, and beholden to no store on earth. That is what 1 acre and 11 animals adds up to. And that is not a trick. That is not almost extinct. That is not against the law. That is just what they hoped you would forget. Now hear me. I am not selling you collapse. I am not selling you paranoia. Nobody is coming. No grid is going down tomorrow. I am not that man, and this is not that channel. Some of what I laid out has a real safety line. Raw milk, home slaughter, the fencing you cannot skimp on. I will tell you plainly where the line is. But this is not fear work. This is thrift work. It is your grandfather's work. So pick one. Just one. Not 11. Not tomorrow. One. 6 barnyard hens this spring on a coop you can build from pallets in a weekend. Or 2 dairy goats and a woven wire fence if you have got the pasture and the twice-a-day discipline. Or a pair of meat rabbits and a hutch by the shed. Start where your yard and your zoning already say yes. The rest will follow the first one. It always does. I ran my own laying flock off kitchen scraps and yard forage 1 full year, the way Eli kept his. I did not buy a dozen eggs for 13 months. Cost me next to nothing but the fencing and about 40 pounds of scratch grain from December to February. Tell me down below, did your grandparents keep any of these? What animal fed your people that nobody in your family keeps anymore? The one that gets the most comments is the one I build the next guide on. A whole homestead's worth of knowing, walking off this earth one old man at a time. Now you are one of the keepers. Your granddad raised every one of these. Somebody just did not get the chance to pass it down to you. Now it is yours again. Do not let it die with you. Next time we walk out of the animal yard and into the feed room, because there is one plant your great-grandfather grew in a strip along the fence line that fed his whole flock through the winter for the price of 1 packet of seed. And the year the seed companies made sure it left the rack for good, I have got documented down to the month. If you want it, tap subscribe. Not because I need the number, because the old ways travel one keeper to the next. And right now, that is you. Keep the old ways. They kept us.